What's up, guys, and welcome to the Polygon Forest. My name is Vin.
And I'm Chris.
Let's do this. So this week we're going to be talking about the Quest 2, the VR headset. There's some news floating around about that, as well as some little bits of drama that have been floating around the QA and games developers around on Twitter, as well as theft. We're going to talk about some theft because
people have been stealing from you.
Yeah, damn thieves stealing stuff. But
and
anyway,
let's talk about it and try and get some of that money back.
Yeah, that's debatable. But anyway, man, how's it going?
It's going well. How about you? How are you going? What have you been playing? Let's start with you this week. What have you been playing?
What have I been playing? I've been playing a few things. Like, I've been jumping around a lot this week. I was playing Neo 2. The game was kicking my ass, so I took a break from it. To the point that it was like starting to get annoying. It's a bit, I don't know, like compared to the first game, it's very mechanic heavy. So it's, instead of like expanding like the core mechanics of the game, they've kept the same mechanics, but then they've added like a load of different skill trees and stuff, and just all these crazy currencies. And so it's a lot of micromanaging, which I wasn't a huge fan of in the first game, really. And they've just sort of tripled down on that, and it's not the most exciting thing in the world to me. So I'll get around to it though. Yeah, I'll get back around to it, and I'll push through and play it. Core gameplay is fine. Like, it's enjoyable. It's very much like the first game now.
Yeah.
So far. So if anyone's on the fence about it and like, I really like the first one, I'm not sure about the sequel. Like, yeah, it's more of the same. It feels like a massive DLC. That's the only way I can really describe it.
Yeah.
But other than that, I was yesterday I came across something. You probably saw this on Twitter. I came up with this idea, and I was like, man, it'd be amazing if someone did this. And I came up with this idea for like a VR game where you're sat in like a 90s bedroom, and in the 90s bedroom you've got a CRT TV, and you can pick any console that you want and put any game in there, like old games, and it's just like an emulator basically for like RetroArch or something like that. And you just sit there in your room, and you can play on any controller that you want, and it feels like you're a 90s kid again, like a huge nostalgia trip. And I was super proud of this idea, and I was like, yeah, that'd be a great idea.
Yeah.
Googled it. Someone's already fucking made it, of course.
It exists. Yeah.
It already exists. And it is like exactly how I listed it out. And I was like, shut the fridge. Look at this. Like, this is amazing. So I can't...
Even the posters. Even the posters. Yeah.
Bananas. And like in this thing, it's called MUVR. Like, if anyone wants to go and check it out. But it's in beta at the moment. So I contacted the developers and said, hey, can I have a beta key? Because this looks awesome. I got into the Discord, and I ended up setting it up, and I had to play around with it. And you can customize everything in the level, which is awesome. So you can change like all your movie posters and like anything that's on your walls. You can change like the texture of your bed sheet and stuff, like super like granular stuff. It's ridiculous. Wow. But it's amazing. And you're sat there, and I was playing Link to the Past on this CRTV, which is like 5 times as big as any CRT TV which I had as a kid.
That probably was like, never in production. Awesome. Yeah, but it's massive. Yeah. It's like,
super huge.
Oh wow.
And it was a blast to like sort of play around in. But based on like the news that we're going to talk about in a bit with Quest 2, like I think this is about to explode. Like, this idea anyway. I think there's going to be a lot more people getting into it. But yeah, like just sitting there chilling, playing Link to the Past in my 90s bedroom.
I didn't know you actually
super cool.
Played on it. I know you'd found it. I saw on Twitter that you'd found it.
Yeah,
that was cool. But I didn't know you'd actually gone in there and played it and explored and had fun.
I've only played it for like a few hours, and granted, most of that time that I was doing it, I was like, all right, time to make some posters for these walls. So let's find the perfect like bed sheet and stuff. I mean, if you're not into that granular stuff and you just want to like dive in and play some old games in VR, then I think Sega have got a classic edition which is on Steam. I think like you can go and download that, and it's pretty much the same sort of setup. Like, you go into a bedroom where everything's already set up, and it's only like Sega Mega Drive games or Sega Genesis if you're from the US.
Right.
And they're all on the shelf, and you can choose what game you want to play, and you like take them off the shelf, and then you can put them into like stick the cartridge.
You can actually you blow on the cartridge?
Right. I mean, that would be the ultimate, right?
Press
like, it's not working. You have to take it out and shake it or something and put it back in. That'd be great. But yeah, if you're just wanting to go for that, then that might be the better option. But yeah, this MUVR is set up to in the background it runs RetroArch. Like if anyone knows what that is, it's a front end sort of emulation system. I mean, you have to get your own games and you have to get your own cores and your own BIOS things. If you're into emulation and stuff, like you'll know what all this means. But it's really granular, and if you want to get into it, then it's that.
There's granular, and then there's what sort of bed sheet do you want in your 90s style bedroom? I mean, that's just nostalgia on like steroids.
Yeah,
that's just like
great.
The ultimate, isn't it?
Yeah, I put like Final Fantasy 9 posters on the wall with like a Metal Gear Solid poster on the other side, some Chrono Trigger stuff. You know, it was great. Like I had a blast doing it. But yeah, I look forward to diving back into that sort of stuff. Like I'm looking forward to kitting out the whole room, because you know you can set up multiple TV screens and the cartridges like for each game as well, like are floating around in the room, and you can change all the labels on all the cartridges and stuff. Like it's really really granular stuff. But if you're into it, then yeah, it's awesome.
Because there's some different versions of the old retro games cartridges. Like you showed an example. That was one example. I'm not sure if it was you or not, but I think it was it Itch, where they had like a US version where it just looked like a really crap drawing that someone did, and then the Japanese version which looked like a game you want to play.
My favorite game of all time is called Eco, and
Eco, that's it. I call it Itch. I don't know why I call it that.
Yeah, it's all good. It absolutely bombed in the US. Like it tanked. Like no one bought it. And the reason why is it's pretty much attributed to the horrific cover art which that game has got in the US. Like it's this really bad sort of CG kids, like with a stick. It looks like a student's made it or something. Like it looks really terrible. But then if you go and look at the like the PAL and the Japanese covers, like it's just really simplistic but beautiful artwork.
Ahead of its time as well, I'd say.
Oh yeah, like Eco is still holds up in my opinion.
Yeah, like a precursor to other stuff further along the line. You can.
Yeah, I mean, every like all the big games that you look at these days, if you listen to interviews or if you see any of the creators talking about their inspirations, like Eco comes up a lot. Like with the Souls games, like Miyazaki, the guy who came up with Demon Souls and Dark Souls and stuff. The reason why he got into the games industry, like he was working, I can't remember what he was doing. It was nothing to do with the games industry though. He was working somewhere and he played Eco and he was like, I want to make video games. This is amazing. And he went and made Demon Souls, sorry. That was the first game. Like based on Eco. And it's like all of the Uncharted games as well. Like they've been notoriously like Eco has been notoriously mentioned for them as well. Like Neil Druckmann's mentioned Eco a few times. Like it constantly pops up with action adventure games specifically. Like this, the feeling of Eco is very much, you know, it's the ripples are still going throughout the industry. So that's cool. Yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It sucks that no one can play it on the PlayStation 5 or the PlayStation 4, other than I think it's on PlayStation now. That's the only thing.
Okay.
But if you've got a PS3 hanging around, then pick yourself a favor.
Yeah.
Play Eco. It's amazing.
Of our sort of 50 or so listeners per episode, maybe there's one of them that's got
there's got to be one. I mean, I mention it so like every fucking podcast I've been on. Like I'm always mentioning Eco. I'm sure like people are sick of me talking about it, but I will bang this drum until the end of time. I don't care. Like people need to play Eco. It's an amazing game. But yeah. Anyway, what have you been playing, man? Like what's new?
So what's new with me is I've just started to play I think it's the DLC for Horizon Zero Dawn, but it came for me. I got the ultimate
Frozen Wild, right?
The Cut. It's called the Cut, but yeah, the Frozen Wild, where you play in the area called the Cut, and really impressed. I thought it was going to be just much of the same, but there's more weapons, there's more animals, there's more like machines, not a whole new race of people, but a lot more backstory and a whole new type of corruption. And the thing that got me was because I'm pretty much maxed out now because I've nearly completed the whole game in terms of my skill tree and weapons that I've bought and things. The enemies are kicking my ass, so they've done something there to make sure that it still feels fresh when you go there and start playing. So I'm still I'm still really having to think about how to attack these scenarios, which I'm just like constantly surprised about, because I thought it was just gonna be more of the same. I'll just hit a load of arrows or I'll throw a load of bombs and that'd be that. It's not that simple. So really happy with that. And then the other thing I'm doing is I'm on the lookout for like a fitness game for the Quest 2. because
a fitness game.
Yeah.
You're getting a bit chubby chunker. Like what's happening?
yeah, I've got a bit of lockdown weight, and it's just got to a point
It's a good way
now
of putting it.
where I used to just go running, but now running's got boring, and my hips hurt, and my feet hurt.
You're getting
and
old.
I'm getting old, and so I just want a game to fix that for me.
Yeah.
Like most things with the human race, I just want a piece of technology to fix my problems. And so I'm on the lookout for a Quest 2 game. And so I've been on Twitter asking people, and I've got some really good suggestions. So
have you tried any out there yet, or are you gathering a list so far?
I'm gathering a list, but I'm trying some free ones that I've downloaded. I think I tried the Creed boxing demo.
Okay.
That seemed okay. I've tried a Fit XR, I think, demo, where there's a few levels there.
Yeah,
that's
I've not
like
tried that one.
a boxing-y one.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was good. I'm going to try another one that I can't remember the name of, but it's kind of like Beat Saber, but it's more specific to a fitness game. And the name escapes me, but it's like a proper fitness app. Beat Saber wasn't designed to be a fitness game.
Yeah.
But for me, it's the soundtrack. Like, if the soundtrack isn't on point, then I'm not going to be bothered with it. Or I'll just will quit before. But if there's like an awesome tune that I'm really into. But for me, music, I'm so fickle. So, I don't know. It's going to be a challenge. We shall see.
Pistol Whip. You need to play Pistol Whip.
Yes, I've heard
God,
that.
This game is so good. Like, that was the one that, like, sort of locked me in. Because I bought my Quest 2 for my wife. And she plays Beat Saber for like 2 hours a night, and she does do that for fitness, and it's working a treat for her. She loves it, and she just goes fucking hog wild on it. She's just like dancing around the living room. It's awesome. But like as soon as I saw a Pistol Whip, like one of the reviewers mentioned that it basically makes you feel like John Wick, but you're getting a workout from it.
Yeah,
I was like, yeah, right, whatever. Picked it up. Yeah, you feel like John Wick.
Yeah,
and you're having a workout. Like it's awesome.
At the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I only played like a couple of the songs as well on Pistol Whip, but it's engaging enough that it was worth just them 2 songs, even though there's like 30 of them. You know, like you can really dive into that sort of stuff. But I would recommend to try that one out, but give it a chance like past the first couple of rounds, because the first time you play it, it's very weird. And not like so much in a motion sickness sort of way. It's just like it's a little bit disorientating, because if you kind of stood there, but you're being dragged along on a rail, like you're on sort of a carpet that's getting dragged along, and it just like, and you're stood still pretty much just shooting things as you go by, not really as they go by.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit disorientating like that, but as soon as you get over that hump, like it's amazing. Like I can't recommend it enough. Like people always say to me, like, what's a good rhythm game? I was Pistol Whip. Like everyone's going to try Beat Saber anyway. So I try not to recommend that, because it's not.
Because
everyone's going to play it anyway. Yeah. That's the first game everyone buys. It's like when you get a new games console, you pick up GTA 5, right? It's the same thing for Quest 2.
You've turned 18. What do you get? You get GTA 5.
So Pistol Whip. Try that one out. That's a good one.
That's being highly recommended at the moment from the list of people that are recommending things for me. So yeah, I definitely will check that out. The thing for me is, though, I do suffer from motion sickness. I don't know how bad or not bad it is, but I've got to the point where I can't play a game where I'm using a controller to move.
That's the thing that does me as well. Like if I'm moving with the analog stick to like go forward, and my body is moving from the analog stick, but my head is like, my head can't. It doesn't like that. It's like, yo, where your legs going? Because I'm not moving them, sort of thing, and it just doesn't. Yeah. It can't correlate them, and I feel like, yep, this isn't fun.
Well, with this next, with the what we're going to be talking about in the news, that kind of is quite a good segue. If you wanted to move on to that, because that could help.
we should shift onto that. Actually, that's probably a good point. So, first piece of news coming in hot off the press is Quest 2 is about to execute Order 28. What do I mean by that is Oculus Quest 2, Facebook's breakout VR headset, is about to get much better. In their next update, version 28, which they are currently rolling out, Facebook is bringing AirLink, Infinite Desktop, and 120 Hz modes, as well as a myriad of other quality of life updates. So AirLink will allow any VR-ready PC user to officially use Oculus Quest 2 as a PC VR headset, completely wireless, which is very, very cool. Unofficially, users have previously found a paid workaround for this, but it's always been behind like a weird paywall. Like you have to
It's like
You
a
have to
20
buy
quid for the virtual
right
desktop. Yeah, have you
virtual
got that?
desktop. That's right. No, I've never done this.
Ah,
I've got a Wire, and I've always played through Steam games to try it out that way. But yeah, I've never like tried it with just virtual desktop. But
yeah,
everyone that mentions it is just like, yeah, Wire is never again. I'm
yeah,
never going near it again. So
yep,
it's very cool that they've done this.
yep, totally.
Yeah.
It's
So
worth 20 quid. Hell, yeah, it's so worth 20 quid. Yeah.
yeah, but now
now,
it's, so that
obsolete.
is removed. So it's going to be all free, and it's going to be called Air Link.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting because even with that paywall that you just mentioned, I found out that 25% of all Steam users are using Oculus Quest 2 as a main VR headset, which is kind of crazy because it wasn't designed for that whatsoever. It's just because it's the cheapest and it's the highest quality like that you can buy at that price point. Like everyone's found that workaround and they're using it for Steam VR, which is very cool. But now they're going to remove that, and they've got Air Link, and everyone's going to be using that. So
it's a very good system, and it's outsold all of the previous Oculus headsets combined.
Yeah, it's insane, right?
So it's done really well.
It's doing really, really well. I mean, I was never into VR. I think Oculus Quest 2 was your first headset, right?
It's my first throwaway.
Throwaway.
My first throwaway into video games and VR.
It's a good thing you can talk for a podcast. That's an essential skill.
Yeah. So yeah, and mainly it was because of the technology that came out at the time was reportedly a lot better than what was around for a lot more money. So it was the combination of the price point being correct and the technology being a bit of a leap. It's also interesting that now we know there was an update today. I think I read somewhere that there isn't going to be like a Quest 2 Pro coming out this year. Right. We know of. It's been confirmed. Okay. So we know that the Oculus Quest 2 is going to be their main piece of hardware that they're going to be pushing. So this update that's coming out now, they're going to do it. It's going to happen. So the dates on when is still a bit up in the air. It's probably going to, which would suggest it might be a bit of a phased rollout.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, they normally with this stuff anyway. They have, I don't know why, but Australia is normally like the test region for this stuff. Like they always, like whenever an app comes out or something, or a new game is getting released, they always release it like a month early in Australia just to like get all the bugs out and stuff. Like I kind of feel sorry for them, but at the same time it's exciting for them, I guess. But yeah, it's probably, like you said, it's going to be a phased rollout, and if people are already getting their hands on it, we're probably going to start seeing people test it out and try it out and sort of give feedback on this awesome new feature. Because
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, this is very cool. I mean, just there's so many games on Steam which I want to play, which I sort of like back off from because I've been poisoned, as it were, and I'm sure you feel the same way. Like being a Quest 2 user for the first like sort of footstep into VR, like you've always known like having wireless is just the best thing ever.
Yeah, I've not, because I didn't want to buy an extra cable for like 80 quid, the official one, £70 I think was the official cable, and so £20 for a virtual workaround, which was, you know, supported by Oculus. That was just a bit of a no-brainer really for me. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the changes do make a difference to motion sickness. So one of the updates is going to be the 120 hertz. So hopefully that's going to improve things, because I think, most of the games I've been playing, I've been playing Star Wars Squadrons, and that was great, but getting that to work all together with the headset playing via the PC, it was a big headache. So
yeah,
if I can streamline that to get that.
Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen with the 120 hertz thing, because I know like the 120 hertz thing is coming for the actual headset itself. So if you're playing like a native game that's running on the headset, like they have to update them games anyway to run at 120 hertz. So like straight out of the box, every game isn't going to be 120 hertz straight away. Like they're going to have to roll out updates. So it's probably going to take a couple of months to get to that stage. But
and
it remains to be seen. It remains to be seen if the 120 is coming for Air Link though. So if like games are going to run from PC on 120 hertz, that'll be interesting to see if they can actually pull that off in some way though.
Yes, we've not had any word on any developers or any games that are going to be released on 120 hertz. So everything that does come out is going to have to be announced. And so we just are not at a stage now where we know what games are going to be, which would suggest that it's probably going to be the bigger budget games to begin with.
I think so
big
too.
franchises. So maybe the Star Wars one. Who knows? Just
a big good candidate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saying that, with this update coming, being able to play any Steam game in VR, like through an Oculus headset, without any hindrance or wires and no other paywalls, like virtual desktop and all that sort of stuff. Is there any games that you've been looking at for a while where you've been like, man, if I had a high-end PC, if I had a high-end sort of headset for the PC, like I'd play that game? Is there anything that's on your list that you really want to like try out now?
Nothing really springs to mind because I mean, well, I'm not sure if the Medal of Honor. No, Medal of Honor is on
that's
the
on
Quest.
Quest 2 native.
Yeah. No, it was just the big ones on the Quest 2 that really that kind of drew me to it. But it opens up a whole myriad of smaller indie titles that I'm not aware of. I watch my mate Beardo Benjo YouTube channel, so I always get a lot of good suggestions from him. And so when this comes along, I'm probably going to dive back into his videos and have a quick look and see what he suggests. Or I might just give him a quick Twitter actually, because he does like several uploads a week. He is like a YouTube machine. So I'll probably just send him a quick tweet, because that's where I got all of the suggestions for the fitness, was just tweeting him, and then all his followers tweeted on his reply. So I got a lot of suggestions off the back of him. So I'm probably going to do the same thing again for like when this Air Link comes out.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said about that whole part where there's a lot of games which we don't have access to on Oculus because Facebook are like they're really strict about what comes onto their platform, and there's a lot of sort of loops that you have to go through to actually, as a developer, to get a game onto the platform in general. So like a lot of games don't make it through, only like the super high-end quality polished stuff, which is cool for us because we only get really decent stuff. But at the same time, there's a lot of like interesting games out there that are floating around on Steam which are just flying up the lists, which I've never had the chance to actually try out because I've just never had the means to do it. But now someone with Airlink, like the whole MUVR thing, like I was able to just load that into the Oculus app straight away.
Yes.
Even though that's in beta, like it's not approved by anyone. It's just this thing that's floating around on the internet. It's just files that you download pretty much, and you load it up into Oculus, and it just worked through the link cable which I've got, and it worked great. But at the same time, like sat there with the wire, like constantly there, even though like I've been so used to playing wirelessly, it's sort of a pain. So I'm really, really excited about Airlink. I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to explode the market as well.
That's more authentic because all of the controllers had wires, except it's just not in the back of your head. It's
true,
out the front of what you're holding. So I don't know.
Yeah, my levels of privilege are not like tempered at all. So it's okay. I'm fully aware.
Have you got any games that you're looking forward to playing when this opens up?
Just the obvious ones. I mean, the ones like I've got Boneworks on Oculus, which like through the Oculus app, through the Link app anyway, that isn't on Quest 2 because I think they would break that system. It wouldn't be able to run it. It's just way too complex. But that game is basically if Valve 10 years ago were making VR games, that's what it would be. Like Boneworks is very much just a lot of tiny experiments within VR. But again, it's very much not down your alley because it's all that motion. And I can only like that sort of motion where you move forward with the analog stick, and I can only play it for about an hour before I start like devolving into just motion sickness and stuff. So
that reminds me,
it's hard to play.
Half-Life Alyx.
That was the next one that was on my list. That's the big one. I mean, the good thing about Half-Life Alyx, they've got the teleport thing where it shows up, and I much prefer that because they haven't quite figured out how to deal with motion sickness yet. So
I think
that's the one on my list.
Human evolution. I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
If they can come up with a technical solution to fix that, I'll be very impressed.
Yeah.
But I think it's one of those things that humans aren't. Yeah, we think we're moving, and if we're not, we feel weird. Well, some people don't. Some people,
they might be able to figure out something because it's like you were about to say. Like there's plenty of people out there that can just ball right through that and they're fine. It's crazy.
I think they're younger than us, Vin.
Maybe.
I think they're younger.
There's old people like that as well.
That's true. Yes.
Yeah. I think they just play it so much to the point where they can get over that hump, but it's just not reasonable to like ask your sort of user base like, hey, can you like feel nauseous for like 600 hours before you get used to this feature? Thanks, great. You know, you can't ask that, can you? So yeah, they'll figure it out. I'm sure they'll line out some edges. But
have you seen the
we'll see.
The virtual keyboard? There's a Logitech keyboard.
It's just the next thing I was going to mention. Yeah, it's called what was it called again? Infinite Desktop. Yeah, it's called Infinite Desktop.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Like what? Like for just so our like viewers and our listeners know, it's basically like this virtual world that you can sit in. It's just any room, and you can set up a desk. Now, normally in Oculus Quest, you can assign like a guardian room around, so like you know when you're going to walk into a wall or whatever. And you can also set up like where your sofa is now. So you can just sit on your sofa in VR and you know where it is in real world as well. So you're not like tripping over stuff and falling on stuff. They've basically implemented this so that you can scan your desk now. So now you can scan your desk and you can also scan, like at the moment, it's only one keyboard I think you can scan in.
Yeah.
The keyboard's there in digital and it's in the VR. So you can, when you're typing, like you're actually hitting the keys that you're aiming at. And you can see your hands in VR because they're tracked by the Oculus Quest as well. And just being able to type. And you can have 25 monitors set up that are like the size of skyscrapers and stuff. And it's no biggie to the Oculus Quest. It's like, yeah, whatever. You can have as many screens as you want. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that in itself is amazing. Like
super cool stuff.
I've got this problem where I've got my laptop here on my like 1 meter by 1 meter desk, and I can't. That's for work, and I can't use that screen when I've got my PC on. I got my PC on one screen here. If I was able to scan my desk. Suddenly, you know, I could have as many screens as I want. I could go as high as I want. It could be, and if it's a good quality as, you know, as a PC screen can be now.
Yeah,
that's kind of scary. Like about the opportunities.
It's one of those things. It's one of those things where like this is very, very cool technology. And when I first read it, I was like, yeah, whatever, that's a gimmick. But like the more I thought about it, the more I was like, you know what, that's actually genius. Because there's so many people out there that have really crappy workspaces. And they're stuck on this like the kitchen shelf or whatever, especially during work from home situations with the pandemic that's going on right now.
Yeah,
like people don't have these dedicated spots. Like if you can just put a VR headset on and you're just like in a fucking beautiful office and you're like, oh, look at this amazing desk with these crazy monitors I've got set up. Just the sort of mental health side of that is awesome in and of itself. But I still think this is kind of like, this is probably Oculus Quest 3/4. This is when it's really gonna come to fruition, when they've got more sensors to be able to track your mouse and your hands properly, and like just the quality of the screen is going to be so much higher as well. So instead of having like a crappy 1080p monitor that you've got right now, like you can have 25 4K monitors like set up in like in a world sphere if you wanted to, you know, and it would be that crystal clear to the point that you could work like that all day. Yeah, that's super exciting.
That's
like,
really
I think
exciting.
It's actually really interesting.
In terms of, like your actual productivity would increase, because we know that productivity is linked to 1 or 2 screens, especially like my day job, 100%. Like 2 screens, I work faster than 1 screen. A good keyboard, I work faster than on the tiny little laptop keyboard. You know, it's there's science there behind it. Can you imagine if the next stage is like virtual house plants that you don't need to water, and a virtual like office dog that comes around, and you just pet the virtual office dog when you're like having a little break in your little virtual office.
I've been saying this stuff for years. Like I still don't think VR is going to fully take off at any point soon until they figure out the motion sickness stuff. But I've been singing the praises for years of AR, which is like augmented reality. So instead of full VR, which is completely covered off from the rest of the world, AR, which you put on a set of glasses essentially, or contact lenses or something along them lines, and everyone's houses are just fucking empty, like in the future. Just white walls, nothing. But as soon as you put the glasses on, like Twitter is on one wall over here, Facebook's over here, YouTube's just constantly playing up there. You know, you got your emails like pinging off in the background and stuff, and it's all augmented. So it's not like it's on your screen all the time. It's just a part of your house and a part of your walls. You walk into the kitchen, all the recipes are there scrolling just like automatically and stuff. Just this sort of stuff, like it's gonna happen eventually, and when it does, I think that's gonna be amazing. But like, there's a lot of people that are just like, oh no, I don't like the sound of that. But I'm all in. Like, I will be at the front of that line.
Maybe not Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah, it's probably too much. Like, oh, look at them people arguing all day. Like,
yeah,
pass.
can you imagine that? Doom scrolling your actual wall. Oh, I hate this. Ugh.
Right.
I can't stop myself.
Yeah. But I mean, it goes right. Like, you wouldn't need to buy a TV anymore. You wouldn't need new games consoles. You know, like you wouldn't need house plants.
You just sit there on the chair. You just sit on your chair and just whack on your headset, and yeah. Well, that kind of goes into the whole...
like it'd just be glasses, so everyone else would still be able to, and you could share with everyone else as well. So if you sat there both watching a movie, you could both be sat there, and the kids sat there next to you, watching something else completely, and they're hearing it through the glasses, and it's like all that stuff is just like it's waiting to happen. You know, any day now that's going to happen. I think that's the next step, but I don't know. Like that
sounds scary. That sounds scary to me.
Yeah, exciting at the same time.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. Yes, but I've just bought a massive. Well, not just bought. I've had it a few years now. Well, no, just over a year. Yeah, I only just had it just over a year. My massive 4K.
New TV. I think this is like 10. This is 10 years away. I think. But
so yeah, maybe this is my last TV.
Maybe. I mean, I'm buying a new TV this year, so don't say that. Christ, I'll get 1 year into it, and I'll be like, okay, you can set up to your AR glasses now. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
That'll be annoying.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, this new update from Oculus comes makes that a little bit a step closer, I guess, to all of this. So I was not sort of into this whole VR thing. I thought it was a gimmick, and most people do that. I've never tried it, but with this sort of wireless world of Oculus Quest 2, like it just makes me more excited to see what people come up with, especially with big players like Valve making stuff like Half-Life Alyx and things like this. Like people are getting involved now, so
we know that great games can be made. That's a huge benchmark that's already been shown to be true. Like you can make great games in VR; they exist. So we're over that. What if, or we're over that. So now we're on to this: how far can we push the technology to make it more accessible stage? And that's really exciting. Have you done the beta with the hands?
Yeah, a little bit. I played around, but I mean, it doesn't work great. That's the only thing. I think that's for the next one. I think they weren't really expecting that feature to be in the Quest 2 when they were building it. So I think the next one is going to be designed more for that. So it might have more cameras, more sensors on and stuff. So, I mean, it's a bit janky. Like you can get it working and stuff, but it's just way easier just to pick up the fucking controller and point and, pull the trigger on it instead.
Yeah, so, you can have your hand down by your side and still scroll and stuff. So there's I'm sure there's plenty of like apps and stuff that are in the Oculus sort of storefront that really benefit from the hand tracking tools. I'm not quite sure what I personally would use them for because I only ever play games on there, or like I'm scrolling through like 360 YouTube videos so I can go and look at Stonehenge and stupid stuff like that. So I have no idea. Maybe someone's got a use. Maybe there's a nose picking game or something, and people are like it's no idea. Right. There's $1 million IP, I'm sure. Maybe we should edit this part out so we can make the game and become millionaires if we put it out into the public.
Crow picker. There we go.
Okay.
Crow picker.
Yeah.
We should move off. We should move off onto the next subject as we ended that so well. But I'll pass this one off onto you. What we're talking about in the next section of the news.
So this is basically just. I know that our opinions are kind of like pretty much the same on this. On Twitter, I think it came off the back of a Forbes article, but I'm not sure. It's one of those Twitter phenomena. I can't talk today. It's one of those things that happen on Twitter where the article is one thing, but the news is more about how these opinions still exist within the gaming industry. That game devs are only people that write code. So you're not a true game dev if you don't write code, or the opinion that some people have that if you work in quality assurance or marketing, then you can't call yourself a game dev. Only people that contribute towards developing a game can call themselves devs.
Right.
I think that's rubbish. I think that's total. Like, if you work in any way towards.
Have you ever met anyone from QA though? They're just absolute animals. They don't deserve to be on the. I'm joking, obviously. That's not my opinion. God, can you imagine?
I was.
What did I just say? No,
you had joking. Me then. I was like.
Maybe we don't agree on this.
Yeah, no, I mean, my only real interaction with people was yeah, like 10 years ago now, or 9 years ago, and at that stage, people still had to whenever you would talk about their job, they would have to defend it. So they would say, "I'm doing it because of X, Y, and Z."
Yeah.
So there was a taboo around it back then.
Around being a QA tester.
About right, being a QA tester,
right,
and why they wanted to do it and what they wanted to be really doing.
Yeah.
And at that stage, I think it was a more legitimate way to get into the games industry to do other jobs. And now it seems to be like it's its own entity, and you have whole studios that are just dedicated to QA. And so it's its own job in its own right, which it should be. And my opinion is that, yeah, if you contribute towards a game, even if it's finding a bug, you're developing the game.
I agree. I mean, yeah, it's like you were saying, like the way that it used to be is it's still very much the same as it is now in that respect, where people get into QA because they want to move into production at some point. And I think that is the point which people, I think this might also, because I don't know where this originally like came from or like how it originated. If it was someone making a stupid like tweet on this subject in some weird obscure way, and it got like sort of twisted or moved or shifted or something. But like I have a feeling like whoever like said this like stupidly probably didn't mean they're not a developer. Like maybe they did. Maybe they're just assholes. I'm not sure. Like because I agree. Like the game testers are absolutely a part of the development team. If they raise their hand and say, "Hey, this is broken. You need to fix it." Like, and then someone's going, "All right, got it, high five, catch," and like they take it and actually fix it and change it. Like they're developing the game together. It's just common sense, really, if we think about it. Like they are developers. The only distinction that's really ever made within studio is that there's, I mean, I personally wouldn't say there's a difference, but like what most people would say is that there's a difference between QA testers and what is like people in production. So there's a difference between testers and production, but it's not the same as like QA not being, just because they're not in production doesn't mean they're not developers. It sounds weird.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make any difference either way. They're still part of the team. And that's how I look at it. Like that we're all still in this, we're still in this fucking fire pit trying to fight off snakes and get this thing out the door all at the same time. So it doesn't really make a difference what we call each other. But there's normally a distinction between production and other people outside of that, which is not outside of it. Like I'm stepping on eggshells trying to explain it.
Yeah,
it's so yeah.
All departments are devs because they're contributing.
Right.
There may be more. I think what you're trying to say, there may be more of a disconnect between production and other departments than what is perceived.
Yeah, and there's QA, and then there's marketing, and then there's other people as well, like HR and stuff like that. While everyone in their right is developing the games, they're like being a part of production and being a part of like other entities outside of production, not in a negative sense, just like we're just not a part of the same pools in that respect sometimes. But yeah, it's to say that they're not developers though is just it's nonsense basically.
Yeah, it's because like, you know, if you don't have HR, the game can't be made.
Right.
So they are helping in the development of the game because you can't have people without paying people's wages or dealing with HR issues or hiring and firing. That's integral part, like absolutely essential. You cannot make a game without HR. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I've seen, like you like mentioned a minute ago, people floating around on Twitter saying, "Hey, if you don't program or make code, then you're not a developer or anything." It's like, all right, I don't touch the game technically. Like in our studio, I don't touch the games, quote unquote. I draw pictures that get sent off into other people. Does that mean I'm not a part of development? Like that's ridiculous. Of course I am. Just like, if anything, the QA testers are touching the game way more than I am.
Way more than
like,
you.
Astronomically more. You know, because they're constantly like playing the game, and they're not just playing the game like, oh, this is a cool level, let's play this again. Like, no, they're in like editor tools, like trying to figure this stuff out. They're debugging, decoding and stuff, and trying to figure out exactly how to reproduce these errors so they can pass it on to people properly.
Yeah.
And it's like you said, it's become this whole entity now. It's not like it used to be where it's like, oh yeah, you know, like fix the graphics on level 6 or whatever. Like, it's not like that anymore. It's it's a whole machine, and it's an industry now where people are proud to be testers, and they should be, because they kick ass. Like they're the gatekeepers pretty much.
So all this stuff on Twitter, all it does is just highlight ignorant people and potentially put off people that want to become people, to work in quality assurance, because it's a proper legitimate industry now. So it's all just bad news, really. It doesn't do anyone any favors, these sort of mudslinging, if you like.
Yeah, it's very odd, because it's like you mentioned before, there are people like I know a guy, like one of the a guy just broke in as a junior concept artist. Like there are a lot of people that get into QA so they can use that as a bridge gap to get to the next stage. And it's not because QA is like any worse of a job. It's just the barrier to entry as a QA tester is a lot lower than a someone that's in production. Which, not to say like, but the actual upper echelon of that, like the glass ceiling, is the same. So if you become like a senior games tester, or a senior QA tester or whatever in a studio, like that's just as important, if not more important, than some of the lower level jobs in production and higher up as well. Yeah. It's just the barrier to entry to get into Q&A is just a little bit lower, and just be able to bridge that gap to get into production. Like, especially if people want to make that gap. But that is not to say that QA, it's an easy job, anyone can do it, so that's why they like hire it. No, it's not like that at all. It's a whole industry now. It's its whole thing.
Yeah, because like you could argue that, say, someone that's just optimizing assets, or just like churning through light maps for some assets or something, people can do that for months on end, and can be quite laborious. I mean, you're working with awesome assets, you're in the games industry, you're talking to some awesome people, you're seeing some awesome things, but your actual nuts and bolts, bread and butter work can be quite tiresome sometimes. Whereas if you're higher up in the quality assurance time, and you're sort of having an impact on how you approach and how you tackle a video game's way of finding bugs and fixing them, and having a working relationship with the top the top people in development, that can be quite you can have lots of challenges, and that can be quite interesting, because for me, I don't know if it's like for you, but when there's challenges and lots of different things going on at the same time, it's much less laborious than when you're doing one thing over and over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think you're right as well when you said a minute ago, this just proves like how ignorant some gamers are. This is like a case study of ignorance, basically. It's a lot, like everyone that's in industry is just laughing at this. Like, you people have no idea what you're talking about. Like, you just don't. Like, you've got this assumption based on what either journalist or random podcasters are saying. Like, no offense to our ilk, but like there's a lot of people out there that just don't know what they're talking about, and they're just they're gamers that are trying to they're trying to look in through the glass, and they don't understand it, because like they haven't been in that situation before, and they're trying to like make commentary on the industry and stuff, and it's like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, you've never been in this situation. Even if you were in a studio for one day, you would get rid of half of these prejudices from the back of your head, or like these weird assumptions that you've made out of nowhere. It's just not the case. Like, it's so strange. Like, as a developer, like, I see this sort of stuff, I'm like, where the hell did you even get that from? Yeah. Like, how did you even come up with this stuff? Like, it's crazy to me sometimes.
I think it probably might have had a grain of truth years ago, and it might be like a trope that might have survived the test of time. And there's this sort of story, these sort of folk stories around what quality testers are like. And
that's fair. Yeah.
What's that game? What's that show? Not Galaxy Quest. It was on Apple TV about them making an MMO, and it had the guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh, Mythic Quest. I can't say too much about this, because that show is actually developed by Ubisoft. So like, I would be a bit hypocritical to say much about it. But,
I didn't know that, but what I will say is there are some tropes there where there's the girls that are in quality assurance, and that can influence people's opinions, possibly. Maybe there's an aspect of that there, but that's quite tropey, and that's not at all what quality testing is like. I've not
actually watched the show yet.
Oh, okay. So you can't comment. Yeah. Okay,
right.
So that's fine. The other thing I just wanted to say as well is marketing have a huge impact on future video games. So if you've got like a series of video games, marketing have all the information, all the data that can influence decisions that go into making the next video games. So to say that they're not developing games is ridiculous, because without their data that they collate, and they collate it very professionally, only in the way that people that are in marketing can do, you wouldn't have that information to influence the decisions that go into the next game. So that is a great example of how they 100% totally are devs. And for anyone on Twitter to be saying people that work in marketing are only trying to sell the game, therefore they're not devs because they're not developing the game, it's just ridiculous. Because
it's annoying.
We sold 1 million copies. We sold 3 million. We've made the biggest profits. We've got all this data on who's buying it and what they liked and what they didn't like. Let's just put that in a drawer and not use it and not influence the next game. Let's just start again from scratch.
That absolutely cracks me up. I mean, at the end of the day, games companies are trying to make games because they want to make money. They also want to make cool games. Like, it's a very 50-50 split. It's not like we're only about money or we're only about gamers. Like, it's always 50-50. Well, it has to be. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. The whole thing will fall apart. And when gamers try to pin one or the other on a company, it's just disingenuous, like, all the time. Like, especially when it comes to marketing stuff, like because we get it all the time. Like, Ubisoft, like they spend all that money on marketing, and they're just trying to like sell you this stuff, or like they just want to make money off you. It's like, yeah, no shit. You think,
and you're surprised by that? Yeah,
right. This is news to you. Like, yeah, like they're gonna try and market their game. Like, yeah, they're gonna make it look as cool as possible, like, while trying to be as authentic to the game as they possibly can. That hasn't always been the case in the past with Ubisoft. Like, we've been through these ways before, but I think they've gotten a lot better for it, and a lot of other companies have learned from their mistakes as well in that respect.
And I think a lot of haven't learned, and it's made doing worse.
I mean, Cyberpunk is a prime example of that. No Man's Sky went through that a few years ago. They have to, like, every company goes through this thing, but just the assumption that, like, we should just stop marketing games. You know, they should stop making these cool trailers. Because
the gamers think it's unfair, or like they're trying to pull the wool over your eyes.
And like in a perfect world where only the marketing existed, I would totally agree with that. Like, yeah, they shouldn't do that, because that would be disingenuous to the game. However, we live in a world where there are reviews, there are previews, there are let's plays, there are op-eds done by major news outlets. Like, all these things exist. And not only do they exist, they are free. People can, like, check out the game long before they have to even put a single penny down a lot of the time. They're not like, companies aren't holding you at gunpoint, like, watch this trailer and buy the game. Like, they're not doing that. They're just like, here's a cool trailer. Do you like the look of it? Then you should buy the game. And then the gamer is meant to have, like, enough common sense to be like, actually, first I'm going to read a couple of reviews and then I'll buy the game, because it does look really interesting.
I'll watch a playthrough when it comes out.
But they just, like, this is just missed way too often. And it's just, I constantly.
I am one of those gamers, though.
Go through this.
I look at the marketing and I can't be bothered to do any more research, and I buy the game, and then
you deserve everything you get. That's all I can say.
But I'm not complaining.
You have no room to complain.
I'm not complaining about marketers. I'm not complaining. But I am one of those gamers.
That is the difference, though. I mean, if you do that and you're, like, happily, willfully going through, like, yep, that looks cool. Like, cool trailer. I'm going to buy that game. You buy the game. Like, it wasn't that great. Whatever. Move on.
Yeah.
If you're one of them people, absolutely fine. More power to you. It's your money. You're allowed to do whatever you want with it. It's your responsibility.
Yeah, Vin, stop telling me what to do with my money.
God damn it, Chris. The only problem I ever have, though, is when people go through their motions of, like, trailer looks cool, like them screenshots, buy the game, here's my $60 or £50 or whatever it is.
Pre-order it. Don't pre-order games.
Like, pre-order. Don't look at anything. Then you just buy it, consume it, and you're like, wow, this is terrible. And now I'm going to go onto Twitter and complain about it for 6 months.
Yeah.
Them people are just infuriating to me. It's like, you just need, like, a little bit of common sense before we dive into this sort of stuff. It's a lot of money. Like, when I'm on Amazon and I look at something that's less than 4 stars, I'm like, all right, scroll. Let's go and read some stuff. Like, for even if it's like $10, I will read a review on, like, the stupidest stuff. Just like, yeah, I need Ziploc bags that are made of plastic, and, like, they serve no other function. There's no way they can screw this up. I will go and read a review like a moron, you know. And it's like, we're happy to do that for something that costs like a few dollars, but, like, when it comes to a $60 game, like, people just mindlessly go for it, which is crazy to me. I I'll never understand it. How the hell do we get on this tangent?
I don't know. That is weird though, because for products, I will prefer a video review and like if someone bought the product and what do they think. But for video games, I prefer the marketing.
Right.
I don't know. That's really weird, isn't it? I do look at YouTubers and stuff like that, but I just haven't found I haven't found a YouTuber who I don't feel is totally synced up with my psyche. Because for me, you'd have to like all the games I like and not like all the games I don't like for me to trust your opinion. Does that make sense?
No,
so
absolutely.
It has to be a leap of faith in some respect.
Yeah, in that respect, what I would say to you then, like people like you, and I'm exactly the same way. I've never found one YouTuber that is ever lined up completely like on all my tastes, because video games are subjective, right? Like everyone's different. Everyone enjoys different things, which is why it's important to read multiple reviews. Like I will not buy a game unless I've seen at least 3, like from different outlets. Like I'll watch one from IGN, one from Easy Allies, and then one from whatever shows up on my feed first, you know? And like I normally gauge like, okay, this person said they didn't like the action adventure linear side of this, but I like that stuff. So I'll ignore that bit and add like an extra point onto whatever they gave. And like you can figure this stuff out eventually, you know, but it's not like it's hard to take it from single sources like that. And I think that's a lot of people like yourself. I think a lot of people get tripped up by the idea of like, I haven't found the one source that I can trust. And I don't think we're ever meant to. I think we're meant to take this from multiple people.
Do you know what would fix this?
Better video games? I don't know.
Go down to the corner shop, buy a video game magazine. On the magazine is a disc.
Right.
And on that disc, there are demos.
There's demos? What are those?
Short for demonstration. And you put the disc into your console, and then instantly you can play all the demos on that disc. And then you can try the game before you buy it.
Interesting.
That's what we used to do back in the day, Vin.
Yeah, but games used to be a lot more simple.
That's true.
To be fair.
You can't fit AAA games on a disc that's going to go on a magazine in the corner shop.
Yeah, it always cracks me up when people compare like Super Mario Brothers to Assassin's Creed. I'm just like, you people are insane. just like massive open world. Like I mean, in terms of quality of like upon release and stuff. Like people complain about stuff and say, "Oh, games didn't used to be broken. Like, look how good Mario was. It was perfect, no bugs." It's like that game did have bugs for one. Secondly, like massive open world systemic game where like if you run into the wrong person at the wrong time at the wrong moment, like just random line of code runs and just breaks everything, sort of thing. Like it's hard to break these things up sometimes. But like to your point about demos though. Yeah, they do need to bring more demos. And I think they are getting better for it. I think they died for a bit, but they're making a little bit of a comeback.
They're making a comeback. I've seen a few on the Quest. That's been good. Try before you buy. I like that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the good thing for
technical problems.
It's the good thing about Game Pass more than anything. That's why I keep blowing that trumpet, because you can just try so many different games.
Like that is like the virtual magazine, isn't it? Of all the game demos, except the whole game right there at your fingertips.
Yep, that's why Sony needs to pull out their finger and impress us this summer with their own sort of Game Pass thing, because that would be amazing.
I'd be surprised if that's not what they're doing.
If they don't have like a subscription service of some kind coming, then I just don't know where the future of Sony could go, honestly. Like I know that sounds hyperbolic.
For this generation.
For this gen, I think it's going to be a massive thorn in their side if they don't compete with this thing, because it's only going to get bigger and it's only going to get better. Like this thing cannot get any worse, basically. They're only going to add more stuff to it.
All it would take would be bad reviews for like Horizon Forbidden West, and that I might not buy it.
One 7 out of 10 game, and Sony would be like, "Oh crap! Like now what?" sort of thing.
Yeah.
Who knows?
We'll see.
Indeed.
Should we move on to people nicking your stuff, Vin?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's go off onto theft.
So, you told me that people have been stealing your artwork, Vin.
Oh, this has been going on for years.
And I was like, that's interesting. Let's have a look at it. And I had a quick look, but you know the full extent to it, because obviously it's your...
Yeah.
It's your IP, isn't it, really? The stuff that you create is your IP.
Like all the... I mean, there is some grey area to it, but we'll get into that. But yeah, it's all the stuff that I've actually created.
Yeah. So how are people stealing your work then? In what sort of format?
In all sorts of ways. So what they'll basically do is it's mostly YouTubers that do this, where they need an image for either a thumbnail or something that they need to grab people's attention with within the video. They'll do a quick Google search. They'll be like, "Oh, that looks cool. I'll use that." Copy paste, it goes in, and then the video suddenly takes off and gets a million hits, and they make about 10 grand off it or something, off one video, which is using my artwork on their thumbnail, which, like doesn't sound so bad like when it happens once or twice, but after about 50 times, it kind of gets old. So it's basically that is the rundown.
And we're talking like, let's have a look, because you sent me some of the videos through.
Yeah.
And so one of the videos has got like 4,000 views. Another one has got 385,000 views. And another one's got 229,000 views.
Yeah, happens a lot. Like the biggest one,
huge
the best example, which I mean, the main problem is the thing that comes about of this is the fact that they just use the artwork, and 9 times out of 10 they don't credit me, they don't mention me at all. And I know this sounds like a whiny, like pissy subject and stuff, but after a while it's sort of like, come on, like at least credit me, or just like add a link or something just to say, hey, if you like this image, like go check out this guy. Helps me out, because the main problem which I have is most of the images that they're using is stuff that I can't make money on. I'm not allowed to sell, because it's either work which is I've used to try and get hired by certain companies. So like all my Assassin's Creed Japan stuff, which you can check out. We had a whole discussion about that. I think it was in episode 3. Episode 3. Yeah, we talked about all that sort of stuff. But yeah, like all my Assassin's Creed Japan stuff, I could never sell prints of that. I could never make videos of that of myself, because that would be me making money off Ubisoft's IP. But because YouTubers are just like grabbing this stuff and just using it for their own will, because they didn't produce it, they can make money off it because it's technically commentary, which is annoying as hell for me. Like,
really? So they're allowed to make money off that because it's technically commentary?
Yeah.
Wow.
But the gray area is the fact that if it's my work and it's not actually a part of anything to do with a different company, then I can put strike down notices on them. And sometimes I do, but it's very seldom I do. 9 times out of 10, people are good about it.
Yeah.
And when I request them, it's like, hey, is it okay if you just like put my credit like within the description somewhere? You can even put it right at the bottom. I don't care. Like, because if an art director or something sees this and they're like, oh, that's a cool image, like I wonder where they actually got that from. Scroll through the description, there I am, click. Like that actually makes a difference. Yeah. Especially if it's a video that's gained like 1 million views.
Yeah, so the algorithms definitely work like pushing that around, so it's gonna get you more chance of you getting seen, which is valuable to you.
Exactly. Yeah,
because
that's the main reason why I make the images in the first place, is to get exposure, for lack of a better term. I'm trying to get hired by certain companies to work on certain projects, and then people just like lift this stuff and steal it and use it for their own will, which is very annoying, especially when it doesn't complete that loop of me putting my work out there so I can get noticed by art directors, because the YouTuber in the middle has just basically broken that chain, which is a pain for me.
Yeah. And so also that people use your work out of context as well. So I saw some of the work you did for Last of Us fan art. This was after Last of Us 1 came out, but before The Last of Us 2 came out.
Correct.
You did some cool work there. If you haven't already, check out Vin's portfolio, which is found at
ArtStation. So Vin Hill Art, you can find me on there.
And there's this cool picture of like a guitar with some like leaves and stuff. It looks like, as soon as I saw it, before I even read it, I was like, that's The Last of Us. And it's so iconic, the window with the leaves growing around it, and the guitar that's on like a chair. And this has been like stolen and used for other, like, to be presented as something other than what it is, fan art.
Yeah, I mean, this is the main problem which I do have, is the style of work which I do. Like when I'm trying to get hired, basically, like if I'm out of work, I will just tackle projects which I either know are probably in the pipe, or I want to like show studios that I can fit in for whatever reason. And the way that I go about that, I take an IP which that studio has done, and I expand upon it and present something new and different, so I can say, hey, look, I can fit in. I can actually be a part of your studio and help you guys out. Like, hire me, sort of thing. Like, that's for lack of a better term. And the problem with that is that when people take this stuff and use it for YouTube thumbnails or whatever, they won't just use it as like, oh, that looks cool, I'll just put it in my thumbnail sort of thing. No, they'll make that image the main subject, which is where it gets into the weird legality of all of this, where they'll take like one of my Assassin's Creed Japan pictures and say, hey, the next Assassin's Creed just leaked. Look at these images. And then they don't credit me. It's when that stuff happens, which I'm like, all right, now I'm pissed. Like before, it was just like ignorance or whatever, like of people like just finding images on Google or whatever. They don't know how to reverse image search. A lot of people don't. Normal, common problem. Yeah. I message them saying, hey, is it okay if you credit me? They're like, yeah, no problem, bro. Sorry about that. I had no idea you made it and stuff. I'll do it now. Done, fixed. No problem. The people that say, oh, next Assassin's Creed is leaked, or look at the new main menu for the new Last of Us game, like their main menu just leaked, look at this, sort of thing. When that stuff happens, it's like, that's forced. Like, that's actually egregious. Like, they found them images and they are purposely cutting that tie between me and the images to sort of push this narrative so they can get more views and more hits on their videos, which is extremely annoying.
And they're making money off of that, which is crazy.
A lot of money.
But that one you can still report as is it inappropriate misleading content? I think there's like an option on YouTube for that.
There is options, and there's like I can do takedowns and stuff, but I've only ever done, I think I've done 2 takedowns out of like the hundreds of examples which I've seen. I very seldom take action towards these things unless they're either being really egregious or they just flat out ignore me or they laugh at me or whatever, stuff like that. That's when I'm like, all right, I can play this game, sort of thing. But only like it's very rarely happened. Like one of the examples, I won't mention the YouTuber or anything like that, but one of the videos used my thumbnail, basically said that next Assassin's Creed is leaked. Hey, check out these images. And I messaged them before it started exploding. The video ended up getting like 1.2 million hits or something.
Whoa.
Huge video. I messaged him, didn't get a reply, emailed him, didn't get a reply, commented, didn't get a reply, tweeted at him, didn't get a reply. I was like, all right, I'm going to have to like mention this because I just got a job at Ubisoft at the time and I was not prepared to mess that up.
No.
Like, and that was the thing, because it was my career at that point.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I've just broken into the games industry. I've just started working at Ubisoft. Because of these images, I am not about to screw this up, because like some higher up has been like, what the hell is this? Like, why are you sending these images around to everyone so they can spread it? Like, I didn't want to dance with that.
Yeah.
And so I finally got to the point where I was like, all right, I've got literally no other choice. I've tried to message this guy in whatever way, and I had to put a takedown on it. And the video was dropped. It got took down. The interesting part about this is that after like the video was actually demonetized, it was like one of the guy's biggest videos at the time. And he started sending like all his followers my way on Twitter and stuff, and they started harassing me and things like. He basically messaged me saying, "Hey, why did you like do a takedown on my video?" And then he added me. I was like, "All right, I can play this game." It was just like this weird B-tier YouTube drama, you know, and it was so ridiculous. But this stuff happens all the time.
And how can you feel like he had any right to take your art, make money out of it, ignore you, and then complain when you took it down? Because, you know. Yeah.
I mean, and the answer to that is that 9 times out of 10, these are just kids that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
They're normally just like 18, 17-year-olds that are just like, yeah, check out the new Assassin's Creed, trying to make a quick buck. And they do make a lot of money off this stuff. And I'm not allowed, obviously, because it's a part of a company which I work for, and making money on that is kind of a gray area and dubious. Like, I shouldn't.
Yeah, it's best to keep that separate. I mean, I can leak your stuff, so that's fine.
Absolutely. Yeah, go for it. My permission. No, but like, that's where the gray area is, because I'm physically not allowed to make any money off it. So like, if I'm doing the right sort of, not only legal thing, but ethical thing, like I feel like I'm doing the right thing here. Like, I'm just putting these images online. I'm trying to get hired, and then I do get hired by them, and then I'm very thankful for that. And then the images have done their job. I leave them online so other people can enjoy them and say, oh, that would be a cool idea. Have a discussion around it.
Yeah, because it's great work. It's great to share it with people, and I think that's a great attitude that you've got. That all you really care about is just getting, just getting the link out there.
I've never sold any prints. I've never made any money off this stuff, and I try not to. Like, it's just because it's ethically wrong in my opinion. Like it's not to what I want to do. It's not why I wanted to get into this industry. I don't want to be an illustrator for one. I'm just trying to show other people that, hey, I can work in a team and be a part of this IP that you're creating. I want to help do that. And that's the only reason why they're there. So when people sort of step in and say, well, if you can't make money off it, I will, sort of thing. Like that's when it's like, that stings a little bit, you know. But normally most people are okay about it though. Like you get people 9 times out of 10 that'll say, yeah, I'll absolutely give you credits. And a lot of them have changed. And like the case which I was mentioning before with the 1.2, eventually they go back and forth. He sent followers my way. I was like, oh, if you're going to be like that, I'm just going to ignore you and just let YouTube sort out the dispute, or you can just change the thumbnail or remove the video. I don't care. Eventually, like he sent me an email apologizing. And I was like, all right, can you credit me? And he said, yeah, I'll put credits on the video. And he ended up doing that, and then I removed the takedown. So it was resolved in that respect.
Wow.
Well, just
I don't know if I'd have done that.
Right. It took a bit, I'll be honest. But like the ignorance around that situation though, of them not realizing like how much of a pain in the ass that stuff is. Like they don't realize like how much work goes into this stuff sometimes and why we do it and what we're doing it for. And when they remove any element of that, it basically kills the whole point of it, which I wouldn't have done them images in the first place if it wasn't exposing me to them sort of people. Yeah. And when it's got 1 million views on it, then that's when it becomes like, why the hell would I give you this image if you're not even going to credit me? So it's very, very odd.
So what sort of money is that, 1 million views? Do you know?
A lot. Like it's got to be, we're talking thousands at that point.
Thousands of pounds. Wow.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. Like,
yeah, it's a lot of money.
What was I doing when I was at uni? I should have been doing that.
Right. No, we should have all been doing like let's play videos and reviews and stuff back then. We would be making a killing by now.
That's true. Yeah, we should have started that earlier. Well, what we're doing now is the digital version of what we just did the analog version of at uni, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you're right.
We're doing the exact same thing as we used to do, except now we're
talking about video games and making them on the side.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Something's never changed.
Except we're in you're in a different country and we're using technology that didn't really exist back then.
This is true.
On hardware that didn't exist back then. So yeah, maybe there was no way to do it. Oh well.
Yeah, but I don't want to discourage people from like using other people's artwork or anything like that. I'm just saying like do your due diligence sort of thing and like ask, like it's really not that difficult. I mean, if you find an image on Google, you can right click on it, and anyone can do this. If you're on a computer right now, check it on Google Chrome. If you right click on an image, you can do search by image and you can find where it came from. And if you do, and you're using people's artwork, just go message them. Like 9 times out of 10, they'll be totally thankful and happy that you're using their image, as long as you're crediting them. It's like, if you can just put my name and maybe like my maybe
like
my
a link
website,
to the ArtStation or a website. Link,
yeah, that's all I need. Twitter I don't need a paragraph. I don't need praise. I don't need you to mention me in the video even. Like just in the description. I'm happy. I can be at the very bottom underneath the hashtags. Don't give a shit. As long as I'm there somewhere. Because if someone sees it and they want to hire me, I'm not talking about the thousands of just like random kids and Joe Blows that are just watching the video for the content. I'm talking about like the people that see the image and like, that looks awesome. Like I wish we had something like that on our project. Like I wonder if he's actually, he does have a link. Oh, great, cool. Wow, look at all this sort of stuff. It happens all the time. And if you can just include that or like ask permission so we can actually get that stuff in, that's where it makes a difference, especially for concept art. So, and I didn't want to come into the story like I'm just complaining about people stealing my stuff or anything, because it's not about that. It's just very much about connecting the dots for the exposure to actually work the way it was intended. So, yeah.
I think you're totally within your rights to be bitching about this, because to me it's like theft. It's like someone making money off of the hard work that I've put in to try and get in the games industry, and the reason why you created the art as well. It's just completely preventing that. You're a bigger man than I am for keeping that video back up again. That's just
I mean,
crazy.
It's just not worth the hate as well, because like if I did just like keep it
then the YouTube, the Twitter gang,
right? That would have exploded. So like having, I think that guy's got like 500,000 followers or something. Like, and having that shitstorm come at me, I wasn't worried or scared about that. I could not be dealing with that. Like in terms of just, I really can't be bothered with this right now because I just got the job
You're going through
at
a big
Ubisoft. Like
change.
like I've got like this whole thing I want to focus on. Like I don't want to have to deal with white knights on Twitter sort of thing. I just didn't want to have to deal with that sort of stuff. So as soon as he credited me, I was like, yep, whatever, cool, done, fixed. Don't care anymore.
Yeah. I mean, because, concept artists get hired from weird places like YouTube, like Twitter. So
all the time.
It's not just, the art stations and the website portfolios that these people that are hiring look through. They do, and word of mouth as well. So it's all avenues. So they're all legitimate avenues for employment, which is, again, bizarre and weird and totally crazy world we're living in. But that's just the way things are. So you have to do this in a way. You can't just not have your art up and around. So you have to have it around to be looking for work.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I mean, because you're right. Like, people can find it absolutely anywhere. Like, I've seen art directors that hire people exclusively on Facebook, like, which is bananas to me. And then there's other art directors that won't go anywhere near social media and only browse around an art station. But then you've got all the people in between that are just, you got to remember, developers and art directors and all this sort of stuff, they're gamers too. And they watch YouTube all day as well. Like, we're sat there at work. I've got my Cintiq, like, right here. And then I've got a monitor here and I've got a monitor over here. One of these monitors, at some point or another, has got a YouTube video just constantly playing somewhere.
Is
right?
it a Polygon Forest podcast?
It's absolutely not, because that'd be weird. But but if I'm just sat here drawing away, like, there's just going to be YouTube videos like going by, or a podcast or something that's going to be going by. And I'm just consuming the stuff as well. And sometimes, like, I'll look up and see something that's really cool. And art directors are no different. So, like, if my image goes by for whatever reason, like, I would want them to see it and be able to, like, follow that link, because you can't just right click on a YouTube video and do search by image, because it's a video. That's the problem. So that's where the issue comes. Like, if it's on a website or something, I care a little bit less when a website just does a random feature on just all my images for whatever reason, because they can, like, art directors know that stuff. They can just right click and search by image and they'll find it. But when it's a video, like, you can't do that as quickly or as easily. And if it's any sort of hassle for them to get around to do that in whatever way, and they're not going to take that step, it's like, oh, that was a cool image, never mind. And they'll just carry on with their day. They don't care. So, like, as long as the easier that link is, basically, like, the more connected them links are, the better it is for everyone around. It's just don't be a dick. That's all I'm asking,
That's tough for young kids that love video games, I guess, that don't care about anyone else and don't have any empathy. Well, you don't at that age, do you, I suppose?
Yeah, they haven't developed that stuff yet.
Yeah, and it's all on the internet as well, so they don't have that face-to-face. They don't see your face going,
right.
They don't see that. If only they could.
It's all one way. It's just a one-way mirror, the internet is. I'm telling you. Oh, well.
Well, that was fun.
That was a depressing note to end on, wasn't it?
So the moral of the story is, quote your people, contact them first. Yeah. So I guess your advice is contact the artist, ask to quote them. They're going to be happy.
Yeah. Even if you don't even have to contact them. Honestly,
just quote them.
Just get their name and get their website link. Put it in the description somewhere, because it happens all the time. I will be scrolling through YouTube and I will randomly see one of my pictures. I'm like, how the hell did that get there? And I'm like, all right, never mind. Click on it. Go down to the description. There I am, like, image by Vin Hill, and then they've got my art station, like Vin Hill art, and I'm like, all right, cool, dope, thanks, like, next, and I just carry on. Don't care. Absolutely no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's like, they have connected the link. I'm happy for that. I'm good. Like, I don't need them to mention it in the video. I don't need anything else. Like, that's more than enough for me. And I think that goes the same for most other people as well. Like, they don't want all this crazy exposure or anything. Well, they do want the exposure, but they don't want, it doesn't have to be such a hassle around it. Like, you can just be a good person and just include the name in a link, and that's more than enough.
Yeah. That's good. That's a more of a positive way to end it, I suppose.
I think so. So you can steal images, just be nice about it.
You can steal, but just be nice, and everything will be fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's the internet. There'll always be people that, like, do the opposite and are negative, and they are being egregious, and they're just trying to get clickbait and trying to make money off you and stuff. And I get that. Yeah. But if you can be nice, just be nice.
Then try. Always be trying to be nice.
You should. I mean, you're failing pretty hard, Chris, but you just got to keep pushing, man. I believe in you.
One day I'll get there. I'll say a nice thing to someone one day.
Speaking of nice things, we're now going to leave you. So if you did enjoy this episode, then please feel free to give us a follow on Twitter. You can find me at Hillthought Games. And where can people find you, Chris?
And I'm on at Acrylic Pixel.
Cool. If you did like this episode, then please follow us on YouTube. You can give us a like, a subscribe, and you can click the bell icon so you can be notified. That should be a word. You can be.
No, it's you, Vin. It's contagious.
Right. Now I'm just losing it. It's all your fault. You can be notified whenever we do put a new episode up. So that will really help us out. If you're also an audio listener, then you can find us anywhere on any of your favorite platforms.
All the good,
pretty much.
yeah,
all the good ones.
Yeah, all the
apart from like your grand's CD player. Like I'm sure we're not on there. We might be. She might have burned the CD.
Does anyone want to find out?
If your gran has burnt one of our episodes onto a CD and she's randomly playing in the background, please tell us. That'd make my day, actually. That would make my year. That'd be the best thing ever. That'd be great. It's probably our nans, let's be honest. But anyway, we should leave it there anyway. So thank you very much for joining us. We will catch you next week.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.